The Last Lantern, a picnic adventure. It was a perfect day in the enchanted forest. The sun shone brightly as Cinderella, Ariel, Belle, Elsa, and Rapunzel prepared for a peaceful picnic. Birds sang overhead, and a gentle breeze rustled the trees, creating an atmosphere of calm. They laughed, shared stories, and spread out their delicious treats on a blanket. "Look at this place," Rapunzel said, twirling in excitement. "It's so beautiful. I feel like we could stay here forever." As they were enjoying their meal, Belle noticed something odd. A strange, silvery mist began to roll in from the forest's edge, creeping along the ground and swallowing the sunlight. "Does anyone else feel that?" Belle asked, her eyes narrowing in concern. The others paused, sensing the sudden shift in the air. Elsa stood up, her powers instinctively crackling at her fingertips. "Something's not right," she said, scanning the trees. Before any of them could move, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. The earth parted, and a narrow, ancient path revealed itself, leading deeper into the forest. At the entrance to the path stood an old, weathered lantern, faintly glowing with a mysterious light. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. "Where did this come from?" Ariel asked, stepping closer. Cinderella knelt down, inspecting the lantern. "I've read about this. Could this be the last lantern?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Suddenly, a low whisper echoed around them, though no one could tell where it was coming from. "Find the light before it fades forever," the voice said, sending chills down their spines. Rapunzel took a cautious step forward. "What does it mean? And where does that path lead?" Elsa nodded. "We need to follow it. There's something, or someone, guiding us, and I don't think we have much time." But the deeper they went down the path, the darker the forest grew. The air felt heavier, and shadows seemed to shift unnaturally around them. Just when they thought it couldn't get stranger, Belle noticed something out of the corner of her eye. A dark figure watching them from behind a tree, vanishing the moment she turned her head. "Wait," Belle whispered. "We're not alone." Just as she spoke, the lantern's glow dimmed, casting only a faint light, as if warning them of an imminent danger ahead. The princesses stood close together, knowing they had just stumbled into something far more dangerous than they could have ever imagined. Whatever awaited them at the end of the path was powerful, and perhaps far more dangerous than Seraphina herself. The fate of their kingdoms and the light within the last lantern was now in their hands.
Disney Princesses, The Last Lantern, Guardians of Light. As the lantern's glow dimmed further, the princesses exchanged uneasy glances. Elsa's hand hovered near the mist, ready to conjure ice if needed, while Rapunzel held her frying pan tightly. They continued down the narrow path, stepping carefully as the forest thickened around them, cloaking everything in eerie shadows. "This doesn't feel like the forest we know," Cinderella murmured, her eyes darting from one twisted tree to another. A sudden rustling in the bushes made them all freeze. Ariel knelt and pressed her hand to the ground, trying to feel if the earth would give them any clues. But the tremors were gone, replaced by an unsettling silence. Then, they heard it again, that low, whispering voice, carried on the wind. "Hurry, before the light fades." "We need to keep going," Elsa urged. "The lantern is our only guide." Just as they reached a fork in the path, the lantern's light flickered and brightened momentarily, illuminating the right-hand trail. Belle, who had been thinking deeply, spoke up. I remember something from an old book I read, she said. The last lantern is connected to an ancient power. If its light fades, it means darkness is overtaking something. Or someone. Do you think it could be a curse? Ariel asked, looking around. Like the one that hit my kingdom years ago? Belle shook her head. It's possible, but the legend says the last lantern only appears when the balance between light and dark is threatened. We may not be the only ones in danger.
Disney Princesses, The Last Lantern, Guardians of Light. Part 3.
Rapunzel took a deep breath. And pointed down the right path. Then that's where we need to go. If this light can restore balance, we need to protect it. The princesses followed the lantern's dim glow deeper into the forest, feeling the air grow colder with each step. The trees loomed over them, their branches twisting unnaturally, as if reaching out to trap them. The path began to narrow, and soon they found themselves walking in single file, their steps slow and deliberate. As they pushed forward, a soft humming filled the air, faint but unmistakable. It grew louder with each step, echoing through the trees. Rapunzel was the first to recognize it. That sound. I've heard it before, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. It's a melody. A forgotten one. Elsa's eyes widened. A song. The lantern's power could be tied to it. The humming grew louder still, and suddenly, they saw it. At the end of the path, standing in a clearing bathed in silver light, was an enormous, ancient tree. Its roots curled into the ground like massive tendrils, and at its base, they saw the source of the humming, a cloaked figure, kneeling before a large stone pedestal. The figure turned slowly, revealing a pair of glowing red eyes beneath the hood. You've come, it said, its voice a chilling blend of the whispers they'd heard earlier. Who are you? Cinderella demanded, stepping forward despite the fear in her chest. And what do you want? The figure stood, its shadow stretching unnaturally across the ground. I am the keeper of the lantern's light, it replied, its voice cold and sharp. But you are too late. With a flick of its hand, the light in the lantern dimmed to nearly nothing, and the silver mist thickened, swirling around the princesses. Belle gasped as the cold seeped into her bones. No! Elsa shouted, her powers flaring as she tried to freeze the mist, but it was too strong. We can't let the light go out. Rapunzel cried, gripping her frying pan. There has to be a way to stop this.